this video, I'm going to do a deep dive review of the Kiesel Polarity pickups and Kiesel as a brand. Part 1 will feature the pickups with a playthrough, a pickup demo, then a discussion, and Part 2 will feature this Kiesel Aries specifically, and I will go over my thoughts and opinions of the guitars and the brand. As always, there's a timestamped table of contents in the description, so let's get started. Starting with a brief overview of the pickups, you have an active preamp in the electronics cavity powered by a 9-volt battery that powers the pickups. Then you have a voice selector with a push-pull knob on the volume. You can pick which voicing is the push or pulled sound with a switch in the electronics cavity and a 5-way selector, so 10 sounds total. The single coil sounds are true single coil sounds, so they're no longer humbuckers, therefore they're no longer bucking the hum, but you get that real nice stratty single coil sound. Before I share any of my thoughts about the pickups, I'm going to do a playthrough. Enjoy. So now onto the pickup demo. The default voice 1 is kind of similar to a very aggressive or ceramic passive pickup, I would say. And then voice 2 is a vintagey kind of hot rodded sound. So I will demo all 10 sounds first in a distorted rhythm, then distorted lead, and then a clean. Then I will share some of my notes about the pickups. maybe you heard it, but Voice 1 has significantly more output than Voice 2, which can be used to your advantage if that's what you want. But if you'd like to constantly change between the two to get two different pickup sounds, then you might have to make some changes on your amp setting. This is less of a problem if you're running a digital rig, but 2-3 channel amplifiers will have a little bit of an output issue. Another big difference between Voice 1 and Voice 2 is there is a lot more low end on Voice 1. I'm tuned down to drop C, which generates even more low end. So on the rhythm tracks for the playthrough, I ran it through a boost, specifically the Horizon Devices Precision Drive. So here's the two bridge pickup sounds with and without a boost. For extended range guitars like 7 and 8 strings, you can really use the loss of output and loss of low end to your advantage, keeping the default Voice 2 for your rhythm section, which gets rid of some of the compounded low end from the lower fundamental frequency and thicker string. Then when you switch to a lead, you can really thicken back up the tone with the default Voice 1. I find these pickups to be very uncharacteristic, which is good and bad. On one side, you can really mold the tone to make it your own. On the other side, you can't necessarily guarantee it's going to sound like what you associate with good tone. But I really just like the sheer number of sounds. A lot of the draw to the instrument for me is composition, and having 10 different sounds is just absolutely incredible. I wouldn't say they replace my favorite set of pickups, but I can find a place for these pickups in pretty much everything that I play. Now moving on to the guitars, starting with something that I think they do really well, and that's standard features, or the features that are standard on all their guitars. First on the list is the stainless steel frets. I'm the kind of player that just likes the guitar out of the way and effortless bending, and that's what the stainless steel frets do, and they last forever, so you know you're getting a quality instrument. Then lumen lay side dots on all their guitars, which is great for the live show, and I'm also a huge sucker for. Then there's, at least on the models with a headstock, locking tuners, which cut down on restring time and help with tuning stability. Then all their guitars come with carbon fiber reinforcements in the neck. I've changed the string gauges on this guitar 3 times and the neck stays straight. I ordered the guitar end of November. I got it mid-February, and where I live there's a pretty harsh environment, and it was very much winter when I got it, and now it's hot and humid and the neck is still straight. I've taken it from cold basements to band practice where there's no air conditioning and it still stays straight, and that makes me very happy. Then there's the unoptional case that you get with the guitar. There is a hard shell case option for some of the guitars for a slight upcharge, but I highly recommend the gig bag. In my gig bag experience, sometimes it's just like this blanket sleeve that doesn't even feel like it's protecting the guitar, or it's this really big bulky thing with all these extra pockets and you're trying to get it through a door and it's just hitting all over the place. But this is a happy middle ground where you feel like the guitar is being protected, but it's very true to the gig bag name in its portability. Now I'd like to talk about the Hipshot tremolo available on Kiesel guitars. I love Hipshot hardware. I think it feels good on the right hand and it sounds good and looks good. This is ball bearing instead of knife edge. I find myself in a lot of gun for hire situations where I'm playing Children of Bodom and Pantera and Slayer with a lot of heavy whammy bar, but I also play a lot of very tight rhythm sections that would prefer a fixed bridge, and this kind of splits the difference. It can do vibrato and flutter, but it doesn't really have the sustain or that rubbery sound that you would get from a German Floyd Rose. And so I could nitpick some things that I don't like about the guitar, and I'm going to, because I hold Kiesel at the highest standard in professionalism in their instruments. I wish the styling was a little bit more aggressive, just the super strat shape a little bit more pointy. And then I wish they did a scarf joint instead of a flute for the neck joint. Obviously you don't have this problem if you went with a headless model. And I understand how CNC works, but for someone that spends so much time on the first fret, I just don't like to have my thumb at such a hard angle. Then I wish they put the black rings around the luminlay material on the fretboard to separate the actual luminescent material from something that just looks like it was left in the sun too long. And last, there is no rounding where the neck meets the body or sculpting on the heel. The fret access is good, but compared to my Jackson Juggernaut, which is a bolt-on that has both of those things, that kind of feels like you're holding a baseball, and this kind of feels like you're hitting a brick wall. Then there's Kiesel as a brand, and you can't talk about the brand without talking about Jeff Kiesel, who runs the show. Prior to being Kiesel guitars, they were carving guitars, and they were kind of in the background. I knew about carving guitars because I discovered the late great Shane Gibson, but as we evolved through the age of information, I think Jeff was very successful in creating and maintaining a strong social media presence to promote a lot of progressive guitar building ideas like gold frets and headless guitars, multi-scale guitars, and 7 and 8 string guitars. Then there's some things that aren't so great. There's a lot of social media drama associated with some of the customer service nightmares, and every once in a while you'll hear Jeff say something along the lines of, "We do things that other guitar brands just don't do," which is a really broad statement, but what I think he means is Kiesel has a very particular flavor in terms of their attention to detail, and they offer a lot more broad availability for a lot of specialty items for guitars, especially when compared to the major manufacturers. In terms of things that I know that they do that I haven't seen from another guitar brand is design guitars upside down and manufacture in Escondido, California. I'm actually really curious what the Type V plays like. Aesthetically, I don't feel that great about it, but I'm curious just what it plays like, just not that curious, you know? But baseless accusations and social media drama aside, my hat's off from a business perspective. However, I do have some notes. First off, there's the $50 handling fee they charge for wanting to bring your own pickups to the build, which sucks because sometimes I have a very specific vision for a guitar sonically compared to aesthetically. I understand from a business perspective wanting to keep things in-house and first party, and from a manufacturing standpoint, there's a lot of extra steps. But benchmarking other semi-custom shop guitar brands like Mayonnaise and Aristides that have their own line of bare-knuckle pickups offer subsidized costs for popular aftermarket pickups while offering other options that they source themselves, it seems wrong to charge more for using less material. Granted, Aristides and Mayonnaise have much higher build times and much higher base costs, but I don't think that's pickup related. But you're just better off just ordering the guitar with whatever pickups and then just putting the ones you want in yourself. On top of the huge list of options Kiesel provides, there's even more options that aren't on their frankly outdated website. You have to either do some research or call in to know about. For example, the splatter finish that's on this guitar, I saw it on one of their in-stock guitars and called in about it. For your information, it's $300 for the custom finish, and then you pay for whatever the base coat is. So on this one, it's the Black Magic Metallic as the base coat, and then I had the Great Jelly Metallic, the Grabber Blue, and the Ferrari Red splattered on. So if you're going to buy a Kiesel for the first time, I have some recommendations. First, call in if you can. For me, it was a much better buying experience. It got me really excited for the guitar. They answered all my questions real time. I learned about some of the other options, and they eliminated a lot of the uncertainty and told me when they were going to start the guitar. So call in if you can. 2, look at the galleries to see what options are available that you may not know are available through the regular guitar builder. 3, wait for a sale if you can. A lot of the time they have sales for no reason. It could be an Instagram live stream that they reveal one of the sales, or something like Multi-Scale May or whatever. So if you can, be patient and wait for a sale. 4, don't sell yourself short. You're going to wait a long time for this guitar and you're going to spend a lot of money. It might as well be something you don't have any regrets about. And 5, make sure you're serious. The 20% restocking fee, you know, if you spend $2,500 on a guitar, restocking is going to be $500. That can be a big whoopsie. So I hope those help. So in conclusion, would I buy another Kiesel? Yes. I really appreciate the ability to get a tailored, specific guitar for a direct price. My expectations would shift a little bit. I don't think these are perfect end-all be-all guitars where I need a fleet of them, and there's loads of production guitars that would serve a similar purpose, but I'm very satisfied with my purchase. It really just comes down to conjuring up the patience, especially after waiting so long, saving up the money. So that's it for this video. Please subscribe and like, and for those who have already subscribed, both new and old, thank you for your support and having faith in my content, and I will see you soon.